John, I don't know if you noticed on screen here for our audio listeners. You don't have the benefit of this, but it's episode 37. Did you see? Did you see there?
Yes, it is episode 37. In honor of Matt's favorite hockey player of all time, Mr.
Yeah.
Eric Desjardins, who played for the Flyers for many, many years.
Yep.
Came from the Montreal Canadiens. So we
Yep.
got to show love for them. Won a couple cups there too.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah.
Great player.
Just a great player. But yeah, well, I'll tell you a little bit more of the story behind why I chose 37 for my hockey number. But before we do that, welcome everyone to another episode of Two Noobs Talking. And of course with my buddy John Tracy, who once again is on the road logging those frequent flyer miles, I guess, well, driving, maybe, I don't know. But
Driving those freaking driver miles.
exactly, the frequent driver miles by John. I'm, of course, Matt Craig, still ensconced, still down here in the bunker in King of Prussia. Welcome you to another episode, and we got a real good one for you lined up today, including we're going to be referring to one article that will point to a huge report that's coming next week. Mm-hmm. John and I looked over it last night, and we were debating whether or not we were going to share this to you today.
We were up late.
But we decided to punt until next week's episode. It is a ginormous 242-page report by the New York State Bar Association, and they did a complete rundown of the pandemic in New York State with that cockwobble up there in New York.
Yes.
So we're going to go through that, and that will probably be our prime focus. We'll see. But we do have other news to share, of course, during the course of this episode.
Yeah,
but first...
Scumbag Central.
Exactly. But first, before we dive right in, this, of course, is my favorite. I've been looking forward to this for a couple of weeks, John. Episode 37. It means so much to me.
We got here as quick as we could.
It's a milestone anniversary, of course, 37. But for me, obviously the big thing was, you're right, Eric Desjardins, when he was traded from Montreal to Philadelphia in 95.
With John LeClair.
Turned the entire franchise around, really. I mean, you had Lindros, of course, back in the day, but Desjardins was the backbone of that defense. And I loved him ever since he came. I was a huge fan of Eric Desjardins for a long time. And I like to think that I borrowed his number. In fact, I have borrowed his number, because this is his number, not mine. But
it totally is.
But yeah, it's one of my favorites, and I guess I'll share this quick little preview of me in the full uniform. Look at this.
Look at that stout hockey player. Look at him looking great. Don't let him fool you. He actually does know what he's doing.
One of the rare opportunities I had with the puck at the Old Man's Winter Classic a few years ago, but that was a great shot of mine. Yeah,
there's some nice gloves.
Yeah.
I like that whole style of that. That's like my kind of style of glove. That's awesome.
I looked at that and I thought, that would look pretty good. And when I was purchasing the new, the hockey gloves, you go through them so quickly, John, right?
Oh yeah.
So these have lasted pretty well. They've got like this reinforced webbing right on the inside of the palms on both of them, and so you hold your stick. It's like they're like, I don't know what the material is, but it's almost indestructible. Like, I've worn these a few times, and it's like, oh my gosh, I could never, I would have holes, in the other gloves for sure. But yeah, it was like with these, play with them all the time now. So yeah, that's one of my all-time favorites, for sure.
For people that don't know anything about hockey, comfort is like the major point for everything.
Yeah.
Like, if you are not comfortable, you will not play well.
Yeah, exactly.
I learned that at a very young age.
Yeah. And of course, with the jersey here in the back, Steve and I went to a hockey game. Our good buddy Steve Murray and I went to a Flyers hockey game, and I brought the jersey with me. And of course, they have personalization of the hockey jerseys at the Wells Fargo Center. I think it was for like $75-$80. You got it all mocked up and everything, and dropped it off at the beginning of the game and had it ready by the, I think, end of the second period, early third.
Nice.
Went to get it, and I was like, oh man, this is really, really cool. And awesome. Yeah, so it's been stuck with me ever since. So there you go. Enough about me. Let's move on to the good news, John. Or try to think about the good news.
Or bad news.
Or the bad news. But my goodness, we have a few people late to the party, and I
Yes.
guess we had the
Right with this
Neanderthal
guy.
states early on criticizing them, and now all of a sudden, with the coronavirus on its dying legs,
Yeah.
Newsom has decided to sign an order to end most of the state's coronavirus restrictions and
I love
reopen yesterday.
the most. Like he's still holding on hope that there's some more.
It's just amazing. The Democrats' handling of the pandemic has caused fierce scrutiny from Republicans and others critics who have launched a bid to recall him. And he signed the order on Friday. I think Friday of last week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, it ends the state's tier system. Can you imagine living in a tier system?
Well, a lot of people moved out because they're not
Yeah,
going to live in a tier system.
yeah.
But yeah, he officially reopened on Tuesday. I haven't seen what he kept.
Hmm.
Removing the tier system was huge because there were certain like it was oh my god, it was like playing Donkey Kong with your
Yeah.
life. Like you had to like jump over this barrel and then this barrel and then this barrel.
Kind of reminds me of that old, the yellow, the color coded system for the terrorism threats. Remember
Yeah,
that, John,
very
from
very
the
similar, very
nine
similar. Yeah,
11? Yeah.
very similar.
California is turning the page on this pandemic thanks to swift action by the state.
Wow.
Ha ha. And the work of Californians who followed public health guidelines and got vaccinated to protect themselves and their communities. He might
I'm
want to
not.
have a word with John MacArthur.
He's so full of shit.
He is
Like you can
100%.
see it. You can see it in print at this point.
Yeah. Of course, he was well documented, of course, during I think it was the winter months, of going to
Yeah.
a very fancy restaurant with one of his chiefs of staff, if not one of his
Oh yeah.
major campaign donors.
Oh yeah.
The
Having
catch
a good old
was he
time.
didn't have a mask on.
Nope.
Shocking.
Dining inside, which you can't do.
I
Yeah.
I, I,
Man,
I guess
they're
not.
all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know they're all ridiculous. But hey, we're here to report California's now open 17 months later. Like, they're way to go.
Yeah.
You guys are doing it.
Welcome to the party. It just you were a little bit too late to that effect, but welcome to the party.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we ought to just jump right ahead to there was also another governor that also did the exact same thing.
That's Cuomo. Cuomo decided that he was going to end the restrictions and say we can't be outdone by Newsom. So we know how easy
Well,
that
I
is.
guess so.
He
Yeah.
can't be outdone by Newsom. Like that's
I
come
wonder
on.
if they're
Like
Neanderthal in their thinking, John. I don't
he's
know.
he's Cuomo. Like he can't be outdone. Now he's got to open New York. It's
Yeah.
but getting to what we want to talk about is this nursing home thing.
Yeah.
It's probably more important than him reopening.
Big time.
But yeah, this is something we're gonna keep up here for a while because this is interesting.
This was really shocking, to be
Yeah,
perfectly honest. Not shocking in the fact that Cuomo opened his state. I mean, we're thankful for that. Obviously, now has some
yeah,
common sense, even though he was drilled, and rightfully so, for his ridiculous orders.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but according to this, the task force, which is this New York State Bar Association task force, New York Post article, Cuomo headline, Cuomo reverse nursing home order did cause more deaths, should have been reversed sooner. And then I'll read the pull quote here. The controversial directive for New York nursing homes to admit COVID-19 patients increased the death toll among residents. And Governor Andrew Cuomo's claims otherwise have been disproven, according to a New York State Bar Association report
Yes.
exclusively obtained by the Post. The 242-page report by the New York State Bar Task Force on Nursing Homes and Long-Term Care blasts Cuomo for not reversing the Department of Health's unreasonable mandate sooner than he did, saying it remained in effect weeks longer than necessary. Although a determination of the number of additional nursing home deaths is beyond the capacity of the task force, there are credible reviews that suggest that the directive for the approximately 6 weeks that it was in effect did lead to some number of additional deaths, the report says. John, your thoughts on this? Let's just dive right in.
Yeah, I mean, this is something we seriously have to talk about. Like, there's a 242-page report that will be broken down, but they're finally called. He's finally being called out for what he should have been called out for
Mm-hmm.
months and months and years. At this point, him and Newsom, years
Yeah.
of abuse of power,
Yeah.
and that's all it is. Like, this is what I love and hate about the Fab Five segment and dealing with these idiots.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're so easy to report on, which
Mm-hmm.
is, terrible journalism, but they're so easy to report on because, like we always say, all you gotta do is look and you can find something stupid they either said, did, or
Mm-hmm.
want to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But this goes to a different level.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I haven't been able to dig too deep in the rest of the Fab Five.
Mm.
We're talking 15,000 people died
Yeah.
because of what he did.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I like to say that's a Madison. I said this before. It's a
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden full of people that
Yeah.
he effectively. You could tell too by reading the report. Cuomo panicked. He completely panicked
Yes. Yes.
over the perceived lack of response by the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, his panic inducement, I think, led that decision, and he wasn't thinking straight. Now, that's taking a huge grain.
That's being nice to him.
That is being very nice to him. The bottom
That's
line
being
was he was absolutely negligent and criminally should be held to account to this.
he absolutely is.
100%.
Yeah. This is criminal behavior from what is coming out now.
Yeah.
That's, I think, was so important why we want to talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I mean,
very criminal. Very
yeah,
criminal.
100%. 100%. I
The
mean,
things that he put in place, the numbers he hid, there's a ton.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and there are so many things like when we'll dig further into that report next week. Again, John and I were reviewing this last night, John, and that was
Yeah.
Tuesday night. We're filming Wednesday on the 16th, and we were John.
Blown
What were
away.
your initial thoughts as we were going through that report? I mean, just like your initial thought process.
A lot of it, like, it didn't shock me,
Mm,
but the more we read into it, like, I'm like, wow, they put this together almost as it happened.
mm-hmm,
So everything he hid, like everything that me and you were talking about in the beginning,
mm-hmm.
we were like, well, that can't be right, or that can't be right, or
Right.
that can't be right. They have in this commission that
Mm,
it's just like, oh my God, we were right all along. That was my first
mm-hmm,
thought.
mm-hmm.
And second thought is, wow, he lied to everybody.
Yeah.
And the people around him lied to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They even lied about what Trump was giving.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the mishandling, as everybody wants to say, Trump mishandled it. That commission even says that the president did not mishandle any of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was New York City that mishandled it.
Oh, 100%. You could also say, too, that essentially, really what was happening up there was just like you could tell the lack of coordination was definitely taking place within the state of essentially like, okay,
Mhm.
if we've got people that have quote unquote recovered from the pandemic, right, at the end of the day, but haven't,
Yeah.
we need the additional beds available. Therefore, we're going to put them in a nursing home. Well, that didn't make any sense whatsoever. I mean, to me, that made no
No,
sense whatsoever.
it makes it because it makes no sense to any logic human being. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna remove people that are COVID positive from hospital beds because they reside in nursing homes.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to just remove them from the hospital beds for new COVID patients.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's like, I'm gonna
No, it
I'm gonna
doesn't.
I'm gonna remove
Yeah.
something
Mm-hmm.
that I could help.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To then for something that I'm going to help later, but I'm going to put, like, taken away from people. It doesn't even make sense.
No, 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 and especially in the fact that you did not. Let's face it. The therapeutic drugs, even therapy drugs, to treat the disease, back then in the early days of the pandemic, they weren't even thought. It was a novel virus. And the fact that it's like, okay, these people have recovered, but they could be asymptomatic. They could be symptomatic still,
Yeah.
even though their bodies have fully defeated. They
Mhm.
no one had thought, okay, well, we got to put 10 to 14 days or whatever the case may be, isolate whatever the case.
This was way before.
To put them, to put those people that have recovered coming out of the bed, okay, we're going to stick you in the nursing home where the most vulnerable people are,
Yeah.
where
From
you
what
have,
we from what we learned over
oh,
almost a year and a half or almost a what, a year and a third
yeah,
of talking about this. Like that's the worst thing you could do.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's not even like halfway best.
Yeah.
Like that's the worst thing you could have done. You could have taken people out. You could have put them in daycares
Mm-hmm.
and had a better chance.
Yeah. My thought process too, it just hit me, John. How come they didn't go home, the COVID positive patients? Like, to me, that's like,
That would make the most sense.
you would think it would, unless they were really, really sick. And it's like, okay, well, we got to free up a bed. Well, we've got to put them here. But
Yeah,
even
but
then, it's
why
like,
would you put them in a bed with
why would you put them in
vulnerable
a bed
people?
with, yeah, with people that are that vulnerable in their
That's
immune
like
system?
intentionally causing an outbreak.
Exactly.
Technically, even
Yeah.
if you saw the movie Outbreak, that's what you don't do,
That's what you do not do.
right? Like
Exactly.
that's literally what you don't do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hoffman would have been mad if that
Yeah.
happened in that
Yeah.
movie. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're going to go even further in depth into that report, like I said,
yeah,
next week.
because I mean, it's 242 pages.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think the one
Yes,
thing that
yeah,
really hit me was just like, I think exactly what you just said, John, too, earlier on. Everything we had done, everything that we were suspecting since we launched this podcast 8 months ago, whatever, back in October, everything we thought what was happening up there in New York was validated
yeah, we were
by
right.
this
Yeah,
report.
we're literally right.
And, it's like, I don't want to take it. It's not that we take credit or take glee over this. It's like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. I
Yeah,
cannot
no,
believe this
it's.
happened.
I'm
You know?
actually shocked all of it's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
That's the thing that gets me. Like, of course I want to be right. I mean, I read them. You know what I mean? I wanted to be right. I wanted to, like, I didn't want to sit here and vilify him, knowing
Yeah.
he did everything humanly possible, but I just didn't think that he did.
Well, what was
So
amazing, and this
yeah,
is, and then the cherry on the top of the cake here, John. Let's face it, this guy was, the reason why we call him a scumbag is because he wrote a book about his
yep.
leadership skills, which were basically trashed because of this report. And then on top of that, it's like, I also remember when I instantly called out the fact that those
Mhm.
nursing home deaths by the entire
Yeah,
state of New York was like at
yeah,
20-25%. And I said, that to me doesn't make any sense.
yeah. There's no way. There's no way. And it turns
And
out
it was validated.
yeah,
So,
it's even bigger. He's
yeah.
Fauci-esque.
Yeah.
He's totally Fauci-esque.
Just lying through his teeth. And it's
Yep.
just like, I don't know, like, I mean, that's why, you sent me an Instagram video. I think it was a TikTok video actually originally, and there were people outside of the governor's home in New York, and they're
Good.
all standing out there with Trump signs.
Good. Good.
I
Fight.
mean, it's just like the
Fight.
blowback's coming to him. I mean,
I mean, I don't know what I don't know what I don't know what Trump has to do with him being an idiot,
hmm,
but I do understand that the right does not like him, but everybody shouldn't like him because he's a terrible human being.
terrible human being. Yeah, I agree.
And it sucks. A lot of
Yeah,
people died for no reason because of mistakes he made, and that's what the report says. And you know what? Everybody deserves to be saved, and everybody,
hmm,
pray for everybody's soul. But man,
exactly.
reading that yesterday it's just mind blowing, and the moving into the stupidity
Yeah.
after that, like because we were going through our show, and this guy pops up.
Oh, I know. This one just really just shook.
Yeah,
I hated the word that he used in there, but it
yeah,
was like
it's this stupidity.
yeah, exactly. Why don't you go ahead and throw it up on screen? But it's basically a former Biden COVID advisor who basically has made a quote. After Clinton, yeah, former Biden COVID. I'm glad that the word former is in there, John, because if
Yes.
he was a
Thank you.
current COVID advisor, I think there would be pitchforks and torches at the White
Yeah,
House. But
absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
former Biden COVID advisor sparks outrage after claiming Americans could have sacrificed more to stop the virus. Oh my gosh. Andy Slavitt suggested on Monday that the U.S. could have handled the pandemic better if Americans had, quote unquote, sacrificed a little bit more. We
Really?
denied the virus for too long under the Trump White House, Slavitt. Again, we have to go back to the former administration.
Yeah, like
While promoting his new book, Preventable, the inside story of how leadership failures, politics, and selfishness doomed the U.S. coronavirus response.
these people are unbelievable.
Scumbag, John.
Like it's not like oh God, it's really not even about Trump
There
at
was
this
too
point.
much squashing of dissent and playing on divisions. I also think we need to look at one another and ask ourselves what we need to do better next time. Maybe we ought to not elect governors to put COVID positive patients in nursing homes. I'm just saying, I just
Instead
want
of
to put
that,
that out there. I think that's a good, let's just, after action review, just check that off.
because it doesn't get that bad if these guys don't screw up. These governors don't screw up. It doesn't get that bad. It
Exactly. And
doesn't
also, number
seem
two,
like
don't
it's
lock
that
down
bad,
your state. Don't lock down your state. Keep
which we learned.
everybody employed.
Yeah, which we learned. We literally learned that that was the adverse effect. Like everything that these idiots did caused the freak out of everybody else. And then all these reports are now coming out and saying, I get it. Like Texas was closed down for considerable more, way considerable amount
Mm-hmm.
of time more than Florida was.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at Florida as the top,
Mm-hmm.
Texas being the next, and actually, was it South Dakota? They
Yeah.
never shut down,
They never
and
shut down.
and
Mm-hmm.
and nobody really died,
Yeah.
which is great. You know, again, I always say I understand it's South
Yep. You
Dakota is
got
very
rural
widespread.
versus
Yeah,
urban, all that kind of stuff. Yep.
it's very
Yep.
different. I
Yep.
understand. I
Yep.
understand this concept, but I guess that's why they don't fall. It never comes to mind thinking about it, but
Yeah.
it's a different way of these scumbags are coming out of everywhere and we should have took more from you. You should have given up more
Yeah.
because you're bad because COVID happened.
Yeah.
That's that mindset that's coming out of that administration.
Yeah. And
It's
that,
just slimy.
that
It's disgusting.
totally
It
agree.
really is. Like
Totally
they're,
agree.
they're now they're now after the complete and utter failure
Mm-hmm.
by people like Biden, like
Mm-hmm.
Cuomo, and like these guys. Now they're sitting up there writing books like that James Comey piece of shit that wrote that terrible book.
Yeah.
That he's more of a criminal than most.
Yeah. The director, former director of the FBI. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the slimy shit they're doing now. And it's like,
Yeah.
you should have given up more. You should have not seen your family for 2 years.
Yeah.
And we would
Exactly.
be better off. And it's like,
When all you had to do was basically just promote wellness and exercise, that's all you had to do, and keep the gyms open.
that's the thing that pisses me off about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like it really does. Is that these scumbags
Yeah.
get to come out and like, and we
You
don't
know a
have that
book-
same voice.
You know a book is bad when the title of the book is a paragraph long and you can't stand the title of the book. Is that judging a book by its cover? Yeah. But for crying out loud, if it's a paragraph long, Fahrenheit 451 the book, honest to God, just burn it. Because it's worthless. It's a piece of trash, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
When
And
you
if
have
it's-
something like that. And it's like, I think your point's so well stated, John. It's like, I mean, the gall, the arrogance, the fact that, oh, well, these people, they should have. It's good that he's a former advisor because you don't take advice from someone that's stupid.
please don't advise the president who's very, 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 very willing to listen to anybody.
Exactly.
Thank God he's not there.
It's a lot of berries, John. Yeah, but I get your
Yes.
point.
Very.
But yeah, it's just, I mean,
Yikes.
the amount of books, I think that's another thing. I mean, we could go off on it. Let's go off on this tangent, right? The number of books that have been written already.
I know it's not
When it
like,
comes
it's not
to
even
this
technically
pandemic.
over. Yeah, it's not even technically over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like some of the population still don't feel comfortable,
Yeah.
which is okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. But like I say all
And
the
we
time,
will get better at.
it's not about COVID-19. It's about the corruption that happened around it for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's this is number this is almost this is right with all the other stuff with the Fab Five. Like he wrote a book to say that you need to sacrifice more, not
Oh,
him, you,
you. Yeah.
you.
It's not the fault of the administrative state. It's your fault. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Xavier Woods does this all the time on his Up, Up, Down, Down show that I love.
Yeah.
They do a Vince McMahon thing. You people.
Yeah.
That's what it's always a shot. It's a rib towards Vince McMahon, like
Yeah.
the Vince McMahon heel
You
character. Which,
people.
yeah, which Vince McMahon heel character is what I view all politicians to
Yeah.
be, because that's what Vince was going for.
Yeah.
He wanted to represent an elite in that character, right?
And John, you
Even
are
though
the
he is,
Stone Cold.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Stone Cold was that brilliant. It's a brilliant wrestling 101. But I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
but that's what I hear
Yeah.
when he's like, "You people
Mhm.
didn't give up enough. Read my book. I'll tell you how
I'll
much
tell you
better I
what we
am
need
than
to
you."
have done. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm better than you, and it's just
Yeah.
like you said, like
Well, thank you, Mr. Hindsight is 2020. I really
yeah,
appreciate your looking back on what we did wrong. Oh, by the way, you're the one that you and the administrative state were
yeah,
telling us and giving us all this nonsense of 14 days to slow spread, 6 feet apart, wash your hands, hand sanitize everything. Make sure you don't touch your eyes, your face, your
yeah.
mouth, your everything. And it's like,
But don't go to the gym.
don't go to the gym.
But sure as hell get a free Krispy Kreme when you get jabbed. Fucking
Yeah,
idiots.
or a free beer,
Like,
or heck, even $5 million, even the chance to win $5 million, John.
these people don't know what they're doing.
Get out of here with all of this. Come
If I could just be
on.
clear before the 2022 election, when you choose someone in the voting booth, look at what they just did.
Yeah.
Like really, you'll know. I'm not about voting party. I'm always about voting sense and sensibility.
Mm,
I want to know the person that I'm voting for.
yes.
It is very clear that there are some people that kind of know what to do. I'd rather have them than the people that have absolutely no idea
No
what they're
clue.
doing, but they're telling you they know what they're doing.
And that's the thing that always seems to get me in these elections. It's like they will vote no matter what for their particular party, where it's Democrat, Republican.
We need to stop that. I would love to.
Oh,
And I know it'll never happen, but I would love to eliminate both parties and just have two humans run no matter what your party affiliation is, because it doesn't matter. Two in the city of Philadelphia, two Democrats, right, run
Yep.
up against each other.
yep.
It doesn't matter because if that democratic thought suits the city to make it better, you should do that. If it's two Republican, like I don't like this mix and match that you need one versus the other. It makes no sense.
No sense, because
'Cause you know
everybody
what
will look at the
happens
party platform as opposed to the candidate.
You know what happens in the animal kingdom?
Hmm.
Alpha always wins.
Yeah.
Lions don't decide, oh well, you're of the other pride. We're gonna fight.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
The animal kingdom figures it out.
They figure it out.
Yeah, I'd rather that if that's the way I don't even know how to fix it.
Well, John, it's interesting you brought that up, because George Washington, when he was nominated and became the first president of the United States, he saw.
I love history lessons by Matt.
It's great. It's like, and this is
my seat.
Washington, when he was, when he got inaugurated, first term, ran for re-election, won again. During the second term, he started to notice that political parties were forming, and he thought, this isn't good. Yeah, this isn't good. We need to have just one person going for the presidency. He treated it as if it was like a typical corporation, I guess you could say, this new country. We didn't want to have political parties. We want to have people with their own ideas. I want to be nominated for president. Okay, here's the reasons why, justification, blah, 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 and you put together the votes to get elected. In his farewell, you can look it up. In his farewell address, he worries about the state of the future of the country, just as a concern when you have political parties form, because you started to form your Whigs. You started, there was one form of the, I forget what they were called back then, might have been Whigs, Tories, think Republican, Democrat, that kind of a thing.
Yeah,
And so,
yeah.
or Federalist and, Whig, or whatever the case may be. I'll have to look that up later. But there were two parties forming. Adams was more on the national government, and then you had Jefferson of the states' rights, and so you had that kind of a debate happening, and people were gravitating more not towards the candidate but towards the arguments, and so then you started to have
To
political
the
parties
idea.
form.
Well, that's where political talking points come from, and when
Mm-hmm.
you can put a when you can put a Democrat and a Republican, like a full on, I'm talking like left and right, stick them in a
Mm-hmm.
room. They just stick to their talking points. They don't.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my biggest. I figured out what I was trying to say. I'm sorry I tripped up earlier, but
That's okay.
what I was trying to say is we need to take the money out of it so
Yeah.
more people can run.
Yes. The
Let's
super PACs, I
let's
think, are ridiculous. Yeah.
yeah, let's get smart people to. I understand that you're not going to get the smartest of the smart because the way that the United States is built up, which it
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't be this way. But the smart people just rise to the top, and then they don't have to deal with it. So
Yeah.
it's you don't always get the smartest person for the job when you're looking at a politician.
Yeah.
But that's by design.
Yeah.
They don't want the smartest person in there because the smartest person could just influence the idiot that's talking. Blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. That's how that all works.
Oh yeah. And wherever the money goes,
Exactly.
right at the end of the day.
Because
So.
there's so much money in politics. And that, I understand that you probably can't. It's going to take a long time
Mm-hmm.
to get rid of that kind of stuff.
And
I
that'll
mean,
probably be generations beyond us.
I mean,
for sure.
look at Trump. He just literally he could out
Mm-hmm.
he could out donate because he knows everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But don't you think too? And that's the thing. I mean, I hate to say he's got the Republican Party by the balls, but he does, because it's like everybody's gravitating. Okay,
Yes, 'cause
well,
he's-
Trump was very popular, no question about it. But that comes with a certain, cachet a little bit there. So.
It does. I that worries me.
Mm-hmm.
Trumpisms do worry me because
You don't want to have. Here's the thing: you don't want to have a DeSantis get the blessing of Trump. That's the thing. DeSantis is what he's doing in Florida is brilliant. Everything he's touching down there is gold. He's got the Midas touch. Nothing he's doing is
yes.
Everything he's doing is common sense. Nothing he can do is doing anything he's doing is wrong.
And I think,
everybody loves him down there in Florida. Everyone. So you don't need to have that Trump endorsement.
You
just
did,
let him be who he is, basically.
You did originally when people started running because of the 2022 elections.
Like, oh, sure.
Trump did have to kind of throw his the disappearing for a while was good for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think if he comes back a little bit more serious into the fray, being the leader of the Republican Party, he's got to knock off the dumb shit.
Yeah.
Because that's not going to bring the people he needs to really reform the Republican Party.
Yeah. Well, I think you're going to see like a Mitt Romney. I look at him and it's like the future of like people like that.
It's bad.
I mean, like, there's no future for someone like Mitt Romney in the Republican Party. I don't think there's a Mitt Romney in the Democrat Party either, to be perfectly honest.
No, there's not really any other than DeSantis, to be honest with you. I don't really see anybody with great ideas. I mean,
the closest I could probably think of a close to would be your governor.
Yeah, but no,
Abbott, but
he's kind of Democrat, but he's kind of Republican. But nobody trusts him because he didn't do anything right until he started following what DeSantis was doing.
Yeah,
I mean,
DeSantis has been so bold, and that's the thing. I think people have gravitated to him because of his boldness and his leadership. There should be caution. We shouldn't idolize him or anything like that.
No, not at all.
But he is demonstrating tremendous amounts of leadership right now in what he's doing down there, confronting critical race theory, making sure that everybody, like, he's freeing his economy down there, and Florida is booming again. I mean, it is like taking off like a rocket right now. People love the guy.
He's important. He's important just for America, not as a politician. it just think of it this way, especially with someone that a governor like that, is that you influence people throughout your time. So maybe it's not DeSantis that changes everything, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe he gets it, you know, it sparks a young woman or a young man,
Mm-hmm.
to bit like that's what's important about politics that were so lost during these Clinton, Bush, Obama,
Yeah.
Trump, and now Biden years. Is you're not trying to help the youth understand this. You're trying to just tell the youth that they're bad and to shut up and stay home.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't like about it. It's
Yeah.
the corruption behind it all I don't like.
Yeah. No, 100% on that.
Pretty easy. It's pretty
But I
easy to
guarantee
spell
you,
that
though,
out.
if DeSantis, though, if he comes in, that's the thing. He's younger. He's vibrant. He's, you could tell he's got energy. He's got passion for his state and for the country. He sees the opportunity.
He's intelligent. Yeah.
He's intelligent. He knows he's setting himself up for 2024.
And he steals the little things out of Trump's playbook about,
No, yeah.
even though he's way more well spoken. So when he puts down on a newspaper
Mm-hmm.
reporter for not doing what they were supposed to do, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't come off as crazy as it does when Trump
Yes. Yeah. He's skilled enough
does it. Yeah,
to deal with that. And of course, like I'm sure, been coached,
I
that
hope
kind of
so.
thing. But
Yeah,
he's more skilled as opposed to Trump being more
yeah.
abrasive, and that kind of thing. But that again is more personality and that kind of also too.
Yeah,
So
you
it's going to
can't
be very
really.
fascinating to see what happens. But
But politics is 50% personality.
oh yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
that's the
yeah.
crazy part about it.
That is
Like,
the crazy part about it. Yeah, it's all about who you like, and it doesn't matter what that like might be, right? I mean, it could be
I
down
mean,
to policy or it could be just
just
personality.
moving into our next segment, just look at the election in 2020 and even the 2016 with the popularity.
This was
It's
fascinating,
amazing.
was it not, John? I mean, this was unbelievable. When I saw this on Instagram, I was floored, shocked. So there's we'll show it up here real quickly. Actually, right now, Form Mapping is the account.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever owns that account, thank you for doing this. We're basically borrowing this, fair use, as we learned from Dr. IP.
It is fair use. Thank you so much.
But
You
this
do
was
you do amazing work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like and
This
follow
is a
the links
breakdown
in his
for our
life.
audio listeners. We should break this down for our audio listeners, John. What we're looking at is the U.S. map
Mm-hmm.
by electoral college votes
Mm-hmm.
of the 2016 U.S. election, comparing men's votes and women's votes. So on the top, if only men had voted in the 2016 election, Trump wins in a landslide, hands down,
Mm-hmm.
350 to 188. It's not even close.
Absolutely.
But conversely, if only women voted in the 2016 election, that psychopath, that Antichrist,
We don't we
Hillary,
don't like her. Yeah. We don't like her.
yeah, exactly. She's a psychopath. I mean, no question about it. I mean,
I've said worse about her.
458 to 80. 458, John.
That blows my mind because I don't even think she's that popular. That's nuts.
That is amazing. If you look at that in the middle of the country and even in the Bible Belt, in the southern
Mhm.
states, you've got some people that are flipping and going over to Clinton.
Yeah, nuts.
Crazy.
Yeah, and that election was weird in itself
Yes.
because getting down to the very end, Hillary was pretty confident she was winning.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
That was kind of the crazy part about it. And then all of a sudden Trump won.
That to me was the most nerve-wracking
Yeah,
election I
I
think I'd
still
ever gone
don't
through.
even yeah, I still don't even understand how it happened. And I watched the election like I watched the NFL draft. I'm
Mm.
in it till the end. You
Mm.
know what I mean? Like I wanna know who won.
I was just going to say, like, take me into that night real quick.
I
When you saw that Trump won, what was your initial thought on that?
was like, oh shit, there goes the country. I know Trump on so many levels.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of a couple books that he wrote.
Yep.
Not for saying I'm a fan of him, but
Mhm.
he did write a couple books in the early 90s
Mm-hmm.
that didn't change my life, but gave me a different perspective.
I was going to say Art of the Deal, I think was one of his books, if I'm
Yes,
not mistaken,
and
right?
he does a well when someone else helps him speak
Yeah.
or write, like
Yeah.
he makes sense in
Yeah.
certain things. He also doesn't make sense. I think he's autistic, to be honest.
Mm.
Um, I really do. Like I
Yeah.
swear he's autistic. Because some one thing he says out of his mind, it's like, okay, like I totally would go with that. And the other thing he says, I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
I don't know
exactly.
if it didn't make sense to me, but I'm sure it made sense to him.
Yeah.
That's kind of way I look at it. But I didn't know, but I also wasn't, I was kind of I was happy that
Mm-hmm.
Obama was elected the first time because
Yep.
it showed me country. I thought that, I thought the country was going to just elect a woman as
Mm. As like Obama was the first black president. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
I just thought it was going to go that way.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a critically thinking way. I just was like, and I wasn't really in the politics. I was
Yeah.
trying to get away from politics. So when I saw the Trump one, I was like, so it's just kind of come to this.
Yeah.
Okay. So politics isn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly. But
turns
let's
out
move.
politics is fun now.
Yeah, exactly. Let's move on to the 2020 election. Again, we're looking at men versus women. And
Yeah.
again, check this out. Again, for our audio listeners on the top. If only men had voted, Trump wins again in a electoral college landslide, 326 to
It does
212.
it doesn't make any sense because I can't find many of my friends that like Trump that are
And
men. I mean,
and
I also can't find many of my women friends that like Trump.
that like
So,
Trump either. Exactly.
not many people like Trump that I know of.
Yeah. And then, of
But
course, like if only women, again for our audio listeners, Biden 462 to 76. I mean, it's not even close with this.
which I can't figure out Texas because
Yeah.
in Texas nobody likes Biden. Oh, I'm sure there are people that like Biden, but nobody I know in Texas likes
Yeah.
Biden.
Yeah.
Not that I know like the whole state, but you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying. Like normally you live in an area like, but I you see Biden stickers, but you see Trump flags that are all over the place.
Yep.
It's ridiculous down here.
Yeah. But I just found that to be incredibly fascinating, John. I
It
mean, at
is
the
it
end of
is
the day.
breaking it down that way, and that shows the importance.
Yeah.
If you're a woman watching this podcast and you're like, I don't agree with that,
Mm.
and you didn't vote, that means your vote counts. If
Yeah.
you're a dude that didn't vote, that means like if you don't like those outcomes, because we don't get it's not 100%. We don't get 100% that comes out,
Yep.
and that's what I want.
Yeah.
With voting,
Well, I
especially.
do know like 2020 set a record, I think, for the most votes
Mhm.
casted, that kind of deal. So, I mean, there were a
It
lot
shows
of people that
it
came out to
shows
vote.
how it shows how much
Even
of a
some of the
polarizing.
dead.
Yeah, it shows how polarizing Trump actually is.
Yeah, no question
He's the
about it.
most polarizing figure, I think.
Easily in the last 30, 35
Yeah.
years.
Yeah,
Easily in our lifetime. I can't imagine.
I remember Tupac in like the 90s
Mm-hmm.
was extremely polarizing. Like he made like the evening news. You know what I mean?
Remember
Like
that? Yeah.
he was very outspoken about
Mhm.
race
So,
and culture, and like, he was speaking out constantly. And he was very the media did not like him at all. He was
yeah, LeBron, you might want to look at Tupac, just saying. Right?
very polarizing in
He
those
was.
things. But I don't really remember anybody that gripped the nation like that.
I can't remember. I mean, you certainly had like, Clinton had his detractors, of course, and Obama did as well.
Obama
But
did.
certainly not the vitriol that was spewed out by the media against against the former administration.
That's what I'm saying. Like the media turn, not necessarily
Yeah,
the
like they made it a goal to get him out of office openly.
to make you hate
openly.
to make you hate him.
Yeah,
Which is easy for them because most people hated him
yeah,
that didn't vote for him.
yeah, yeah.
And then you add a couple people. Like Trump is so weird to me. Like I don't know if we'll ever see a celebrity run as a politician for president ever again. This would definitely, being a celebrity, this is a reason not to.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. And I think it's just, I think that the pull also too of the Washington establishment, it just goes to show you too that when you have a genuine outsider
It's
coming in to
embedded.
try and
Yeah, it's deeply
they
embedded.
just throw up all kinds of walls mentally,
Well,
spiritual, whatever the case may be. They just do not want to deal with anybody from the outside in because it's like, no, they don't understand. We're the ones that can, and that's administrative state. That this
yeah.
goes all the way back to like 1910, 1920. This has been infiltrated in the government for a while. So the people I think that voted for Trump in 2016, they were furious at the fact that the administrative state had
Yeah,
been
I would agree.
going
Yeah,
this way.
I would agree with
But
that.
this, I think you've also made this point on previous podcasts, John. It starts at the ground level, does it not? It really does. It starts at the
Absolutely.
ground level, at your county
Absolutely.
commissioners, at your
Yes.
treasurers, at all that kind of stuff.
Who controls your life?
Who controls your life the
That's
most and
that's
has the most impact?
that's my biggest question to it. Doesn't matter if you're a liberal. It doesn't matter if you are a
Mm-hmm.
full-on right-wing nutcase. I love Trump and I will never stop until Trump gets back in office 47 times. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
I, I do not politics. I don't care. The
Yep.
thing I care about when I vote is who controls my life.
Mm-hmm.
What taxes do I pay and who's in charge of them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I want to vote the person that helps me and my family and me
Mm-hmm.
and my friends' family.
Mm-hmm.
That's my advice with politics. I
Mm-hmm.
don't look at politics like, oh my God, the president won. The president is the last person on my list that I worry about on a day-to-day basis.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are so many other people that control my life before that guy.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yes, can he go to war? And yet they all do.
Yeah.
Let's hope they don't. Let's hope
Yeah.
they take a page out of Trump's book and not go to war.
Biden almost kind of blew up the Middle
Yeah.
East anyway.
Yeah.
But but yeah,
That would be
we have a
that would
mutual
be
friend
nice
of
to
ours.
get back to. Yeah.
John, I was just going to say that we have a mutual friend of ours, and she's a great human being. I love her to death. I mean, she's really fantastic, Jess.
Mhm.
And I remember she made a post on Facebook. Oh my God, Trump got elected. And I kept, as I was reading her post, she was distressed, distraught, and I said, Jess, you have the power. Forget about what happened in the election. You have the power to raise your kids.
Yeah.
You have the authority. You go out there. You make sure, as a
Yeah.
mom, that you raise your kids to teach all about love and not to hate people, all that kind of stuff. I just made it as positive as I possibly could, and she
Yeah.
loved that.
Yeah. That's the positivity that you need. And
That's the positivity we need.
if you're feeling negative, please in 2022, please show up and
Yeah.
take these people out of your life that are making it so miserable. And to be honest, like if it's the TV, if it's Biden or if it's Trump or if it's those news networks, the other advice is don't watch TV.
Click.
Watch something like us where we talk about stuff
Exactly. Exactly.
because we're probably closer to what you're dealing with than Joe Biden is,
Yeah.
who has more money than not Trump, but
Yeah.
he's
Exactly.
got more money than
Live your life,
most
work well with
most
your hands,
people.
and just enjoy it. Yeah. Exactly. Well, John, let's end on the happy segment. I think this is
Yes,
since we're in the
please.
process of giving good advice to our to our listeners,
Yeah,
audio and
we're
visual.
trying. We're trying. You don't have to listen. I mean, I'm not that laugh. I like to think that I am. Though. I think
This we found very interesting from the Good News Network. Moving your sleep time an hour earlier could cut depression risk by 23%, study says. And I'll just read this. Waking up just 1 hour earlier could reduce a person's risk of major depression by 23%, suggests a sweeping new genetic study. The study of 840,000 people by researchers at the University of Colorado Boulder and the Broad Institute of MIT and Harvard represents some of the strongest evidence yet that chronotype, a person's propensity to sleep at a certain time, influences depression risk. It's also among the first study to quantify just how much or little change is required to influence mental health. So that's a really key point coming out of this pandemic, John. I mean, that's going to be key to get your sleep back.
Yes.
Really. As people emerge post-pandemic from working and attending school remotely, a trend that has led many to shift to a later sleep schedule. The findings could have important implications. John, your thoughts on that?
I,
It's huge.
it made me think. It
Yeah.
made me think about the good days and the bad days that I have. And the good days that I have, because
Hmm.
I suffer from depression, anxiety. I'm not gonna lie to anybody.
Hmm.
But when I set my schedule, like I'm going to bed at 9,
Hmm.
get up early, I have better days.
Yeah.
When I do it just willy-nilly, because like I don't have enough, like I right now I've been traveling, I don't have a lot of time at home. So I have a tendency to stay up later and spend time with my wife and trying to like fit everything I can into this little box because of traveling. Yeah, I see my mental health kind of declining
Mm.
when I'm leaving, and I'm like first couple of days of being gone.
Hmm.
Then it bounces back once you get into the work schedule, and you start to feel a little
Know
bit
what you're
better,
going to
blah blah
do and
blah.
all that kind
Then
of stuff. Yep.
you can definitely, I could definitely see how that study works out kind of in my own
Hmm.
little bubble.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna try it this weekend when I go home. I'm gonna try to keep to my sleep schedule that I have
There you
on
go.
the road
There you
and
go.
see if that may I bet you it actually does well. I hope to report back.
Yeah, I would
And
love
see
that.
if see if that actually works out.
No doubt.
That was a great read when you sent that to me. I was like, we need to like tell people about this. This is like, structure is great
Oh, it is.
for
Yeah, I
people
know.
and
For
their mental
me,
health. Yeah,
it's like I go to bed 10:30, and it's like I wake up at 6. I mean, that is a real good, solid 7.5 hours of sleep.
that's awesome.
And it's just like been very fortunate. There have been times I've woken up 4:30 in the morning, and I'm thinking, oh my god, what am I waking up at 4:30 for? And it's like I kind of just like get to the end of the day, then I make up the additional hours back that I lose. But it's like, oh my gosh, I hate that when I wake up at 4:30 before, like 2 hours before my alarm clock goes off.
Yeah, you're
But
looking at
yeah,
I'm
all
huge
that
on that.
being said, though, I think it's so important to get that good night's sleep. And thank you for sharing that, John, about that. With what you're going through a little bit there. I mean, no one likes to go through something like that, depression, anxiety, and I can't even imagine how many people have gone through that during the course of this pandemic, have
So many
lost
people
sleep,
do.
don't know
Yeah.
what's going to happen, they've lost their job, what to do, all that kind of stuff. It's still important to just, I think it's so important to just, when you go to bed, everything comes out of your brain. You don't
Yep.
think about anything. The difficulties that I've had getting to sleep is when I always think.
Yep.
Am
Me
I
too. Me
constantly
too. Yeah.
thinking about something? Whether it's finances, whether it's whether or not I'm going to make it into work tomorrow or an upcoming. I remember I did not sleep all that well when I was about ready to leave for the Netherlands back in the
Oh
day.
yeah, I could imagine. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I got to get up. I got to make sure, it's going to be a long, and I can't get enough sleep on the plane. It's like, oh my gosh, it was tough. It was tough on me physically, mentally, all
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. So, yeah, it is important to when you go
Sleep is
get
so important.
yeah, when you
So
get
important.
involved, just make sure your mind everything goes off. It's like you get a reminder now on like for me on the Apple, you get a reminder now, okay, 10:15 you're going to get ready to go to
Bet.
bed.
Love that.
Everything winds down at that point. And it's like, okay, I just don't even have to think about it. I'll worry
And
about it tomorrow.
one other thing that is so important
Hmm.
that I've done is, well, me and my wife have done. She started it, but I'm taking credit for it. Haha. She doesn't watch this anyway, so uh, it's a joke.
It's a shame because I wish she could. I would love to hear her thoughts on the whole
No,
Clinton Clinton
no, you
Trump.
don't. Uh,
Maybe not. I don't know.
Sheldon.
But anyway,
No,
go
but
ahead.
we had a pact a while back because
Yep.
we used to sleep with the phones in the room, and neither of us slept well. And she was reading a study from somewhere. I don't even remember. Like, she reads like she reads more than I do, and
Yeah.
I don't even understand it. I'm like, how can you do all that? Like, I don't get it. But
Crazy.
she was like, I got a challenge for you. No phones in the bedroom. They
Mm.
stay outside. You set the alarm because you can hear it all. Like, if you set an
Mhm.
alarm loud enough on an iPhone,
Oh yeah,
you can totally
you'll
hear it
hear it. Oh yeah.
a room away. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we literally created two stations. Like, she has her
Mhm.
station. I have my station where we plug our phones in,
Mhm.
and I, I started to sleep better
There you go.
just from that.
Yeah.
Just from taking the phone away.
Away.
Yeah, away,
Mhm.
which my brother actually said he does the same thing. He shuts his phone off, you know, when he's ready to relax and blah blah blah.
I
It
put this
just goes
thing
away.
in the studio
Good.
when I go
That's
to
the way
bed.
it should be. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't come with me in the bedroom because
What
it's like
I
I don't need it in there. Now the
what I
iPad is a different
yeah.
story. I got to knock that off. But to
But
your point, yeah.
that's what I'm actually thinking about buying an alarm clock because I
Mm.
use the alarm clock in the hotels
Mm.
and the phone
Yep.
goes in my bag.
Yep.
I just shut it off in a bag. It turns itself on when I'm supposed to get up. So my phone's on when I get up. So if someone calls me, I can answer. But
Beautiful.
I use and that's another thing that maybe I need to implement at home because it
Mhm.
seems to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's helpful. No, that's really,
Yeah,
really good.
it's just a different little things. Try everything. If you're not sleeping well,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? If you're sleeping great, disregard all messages. You know what I mean? Like,
Still
not
a
trying
great
to change
reminder though, because
people.
you never know. You could have a night's, you may lose a night of sleep. You're thinking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen?
Yeah. But
Important to always reset, go back, get your schedule, declare your mind, that kind of thing. Don't even
declutter
think
your mind
about what happened.
is one of the greatest things ever. Every day is a new
Absolutely.
day. You can be great
Absolutely.
every day.
Yep. Yep. Well, John, that
Yeah,
was
we
a
did it.
really good. I have to say we
We
lived
did
up
it.
to the number.
We tried. We tried. We were
Absolutely. Absolutely. We did try. It was a pleasure and an honor, of course, my good friend, to talk all these things with you and discuss these
always.
things. It's time for our shameless plug segment. Let's do it, shall we?
Yes, sir. Okay, socials. We are going to be on very little on Facebook. So follow us on Instagram and check us out on Clapper and TikTok for small videos that will bring us to
Our main YouTube channel, of course, and we would really love it if you would subscribe to our channel, of course. That get those subscribers up. We're still stuck on 12. We got to get to 15. Want to hit
yes.
that real
Love
hard. Of course, like and share our videos. Feel free to. We love for you to get the word out and all that kind of stuff. But of course, we're also on the audio side. John.
We are Apple is our number one hub. We do great numbers on Apple,
Hmm.
also Google Chrome and Google Podcast. A couple other ones we do pretty good on. I can't remember them off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Spotify sucks as always. I said I would go into them a little deep. They are actually really terrible. So we will just leave it right there. But if you listen to us on Spotify, I'm sorry that Spotify sucks. But you got to take it up with Spotify on Twitter. You got to write them a message and then they'll tell you they don't suck. But then you could just tell them that I said they do suck.
And then
That'd be
follow
fun.
us.
We
And then
should probably
follow us.
do
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah, and then tag us on there, even though I don't have the app anymore. We still do have a Twitter. So at Two Noobs Talking Podcast, totally tag us in that conversation.
Exactly.
I'll jump back on and tell them that they suck.
There you go. There you go. And then, of course,
Yeah.
our very fine show notes. Of course, we have all the links to all the articles we've referenced. You could go to TwoNoobsTalking.wordpress.com for the actual show notes themselves. And again, if you enter in your email address and hit enter, the show notes show up in your inbox the very next day. How cool is that? I mean, that is just freaking cool.
And also that 242 page report is in the show notes this week. So check out, if you want to check it out for yourself, please do. It's in
Episode
those show notes.
38 is huge. We will go in
Yes.
depth into that report and hopefully not talk ourselves to death. But
Yes.
that is a huge report, and we're going to love it. We're going to gold mine that sucker humongously. So
Yes, we
stay
can.
tuned for that. John, episode 37's in the can, man. Got anything final to say, bud?
Not don't go down the rabbit hole.
I'll try not to. Talk to y'all next week. Take care.